Tell me the theme of the Easter sermon or the recurring words.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Yes, very good. And listen, we're still in the middle of the Easter season, and the uh-ohs just keep coming again and again and again. So if I were to entitle the sermon, it would be uh-oh all over again for the first time. Because like Peter, not only do we need to be told several times, but we still often don't get it. In this story, uh-oh, you want me to eat unclean food. Uh-oh, you want me to go to the Gentiles' house and have fellowship with them. Uh-oh, the Holy Spirit has fallen upon the Gentiles. Uh-oh, you want me to baptize them. Uh-oh, the council in Jerusalem is calling me on the carpet, even though I'm Peter. Uh-oh, it's just as Jesus said, that he would baptize with fire. Uh-oh, if God is willing to give the Holy Spirit to these people, who else will he give the Holy Spirit to? Uh-oh. Who am I to hinder God? Uh-oh, the council actually agreed. And if the council agreed to such a radical departure from faith once delivered, what might the Holy Spirit do next? Remember the Holy Spirit. Uh-oh. If we give an inch, they'll take a mile. Uh-oh, if we start publishing the whole service in the bulletin, none of the new members will use the Red Book of Common Prayer. Uh-oh, if we have a monitor up, oh my gosh, we're on our way to becoming a mega church. Uh-oh, I've noticed that a lot of you don't kneel up straight when you pray. And you lean your bum against the pew. Uh-oh! For an Episcopalian, that is a sin. A great sin. One of the lines I get to say, would you like to hear a couple of lines from To Kill a Mockingbird that I get to say in the play? Today is your last opportunity for this Academy Awarding performance at 2 o'clock. You ready? Here's the first line. Atticus. And then later on in the play, I get another line that goes like this. Atticus. But there is one line I do say later on near the end, and it's, if I did that, it would be a sin. It would be a great sin. Now, what Peter thought was a sin was in fact obeying God. One of the things I learned from rehearsing for this play and actually listening to it many different times is that Harper Lee was preaching. Harper Lee was preaching to the readers of her play. It's a sin to kill a mockingbird. It's a sin to reject a human being. It's a sin. Jim Crow laws are a sin. It's a sin to treat women as anything less than a child of God in the image of God. It's a sin to create any creature on earth, as Kathy said, as less than good. And in Atticus' final speech, brings up Thomas Jefferson's phrase, all men, all people are created equal. Recognizing that in fact, we don't live into it. We have been given words that are even more powerful. And we've been given those words in a play. Because the story of Peter and Cornelius, as the commentators say, is like a 7-act play. Tableaus, if you will. There's Peter on the roof, waiting for dinner, just like a guy, hungry. And not only is he hungry, he's dreaming about food. And once again, when the vision happens, Peter does what he does best, which is tell God what he won't do. No, you won't wash my feet. No, quit talking about dying as the Messiah. No, I won't eat that food. But then Peter listens. And the next scene is the visitors at the front door. And the next scene is moving to Cornelius' house. And the next and most powerful scene is Peter entering into a place that he shouldn't be. Cornelius was a Roman soldier, the enemy. We've already read where the Samaritans, which were sort of half Jewish and half something else, had received the word. Another believer, the eunuch, accepted the gospel and was baptized. But in Cornelius' household, Cornelius was a faithful believer. And there were people, Gentiles, that believed in the Jewish concept of God. But I like to always say, they were willing to do a lot, but they weren't willing to make the final cut. And to understand that, you must understand that what the fundamentalist Jewish Christian party was called by Paul was the circumcision party. But I'll let you figure that part out. At any rate, they would get almost to becoming Jewish, but not quite. But here is an enemy person who's also a faithful man of God. Peter goes into his house, which in fact, what he's criticized for later is having fellowship with him, not for baptizing. But if you read that story, you will find a lot of redundancy. This story is told over and over again, and Peter doesn't make any mistakes. He brings a lot of witnesses with him, because he knows he's going to get in trouble. So the bishop the Council of Jerusalem calls him on the carpet, and he goes and shares of the mighty works of God. The people that he never dreamed of would be called to be a Christian. People we never dreamed of would be called to be ordained women. Being ordained. Heaven forbid that we would hinder God and thanks be to God we haven't. Gay people wanting to be a full member in the church of God that have had an experience of the Holy Spirit. Who are we to hinder God? I love what Pope Francis said. Who am I? And the Rabbi Gamaliel said, if this is of God, it will bear fruit. And we don't want to stand against God. If it's not of God, it will pass by. He was able to trust God. And he was able to trust the synagogue. He was able to trust the church to God. And if there's one message I hear strong and clear is we need to trust our church to God. We need to trust that the Holy Spirit is at work among us. And that we are living out the dream, the vision, that all people are created equal. That all people are children of God. That Jesus died on the cross for the sins of the whole world. And let me tell you what all people also means. It might mean some people that we don't like, or that we're angry with, or who have betrayed us. They might be sitting in the pew near you. They might be standing in the pulpit. But we're called to forgive. We're called to love one another as Jesus has loved us. And how did he love us? On the cross, he stretched his arms out. On the hardwood of the cross, as we say in the collect. Father, forgive them. And then as he ascends to heaven, he says, go and do likewise. Love one another as I have loved you. We haven't got that all straight yet. We've got a long way to go, and we've come a long way. And it might mean that some of us traditional Episcopalians have got to be a little more flexible. I didn't plan that one. It might mean that we have to listen to God a little bit more than we listen to our own minds. And as Peter did, we have to listen to the broader church. For you traditional Episcopalians and for all the people of God, please take out your prayer books. Open it to page 51. We don't visit this page very often. It's a right one. Service of morning prayer. But when I was growing up, and let me just tell you, brothers and sisters, I'm Episcopalian, born and raised Episcopalian. I've never missed a day of church. Why, they carried me in a litter if I was sick. We couldn't miss a day of church. And if you didn't have an acolyte fainting in the service, because you couldn't lean against the pew, you weren't having real church. My daddy was an Episcopal priest. I went to an Episcopal boarding school. I'm an Episcopalian's Episcopalian. In case you don't know the story of Paul, he says, I'm a Jew among Jews. So there's a comparison there. And I grew up with morning prayer. And we said it every day in chapel at school. And we did the Nunc Dimittis, which is the Song of Simeon. And I'd like us to read it together. Page 51. Lord, now lettest thou thy servant depart in peace, according to thy word. For mine eyes have seen thy salvation, which thou hast prepared for the face of all people, to be a light to lighten the Gentiles, and to be the glory of thy people Israel. And together, glory to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and will be forever. Amen. All people are created equal, called to be a light to enlighten the nations, to lighten the Gentiles. That's our calling. Simeon had been waiting